Good morning, this is Beaty-Coffey of the Ministry of Uncover No More. Seeing as how I had quite an eventful couple of weeks in ministry, I'm taking a step back, and that doesn't mean that I quit what I'm doing. It means I read poetry, read books that I need to understand. Even if I don't finish a book, in your way of thinking, the essence that I knew I needed has come. Now, I'm going to share something before I read a poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. And there's going to be some people who probably don't like this, and you're going to call me names. Arrogance is your plea in my life, and that's wrong to do to someone like me. To many of us are dealing with not living our full potential because of the war involved in being in this society of America. So if you're still in the mindset of judging as opposed to evolving with us, you're someone I have to distance from, because you do not nurture the soul of everyone around you, distancing yourself from the criminals, because we do need to understand and deal with the fact that there are people in our midst that should be in jail, and they're not, and they're hiding tremendous crime. They're also walking into schools and just wholeheartedly killing people, and people who aren't in the know are blaming things that are not actually what is there's no blame. There's diagnosis, there's justice, there's nourishment of true victims, there's rehabilitation in jail of criminals. See, when you just stand on the sidelines and blame, or I do that, that's not solution thought process. That's not solution aura. That's not solution action. And I'm going to use that. Blame games are not solution action. And if you're a person intent on continuing a narrative such as a blame game, aura, you cause people like me to have to enter a zone of pain in my life, because I can't be my true self. I have to tack to what's around me and serve there, but also learn, like Jesus did in the gospel record, to go to the wilderness. It is a wilderness, and he is alone. And this day, I think everybody longs for that because of how desperate we are in the city. And while I get that, continuing in that way is not the answer to societal ills in any level, if you will, of living in a city. The larger the city, the more complex the apartment building that I'm talking about. So here's the poem I'm reading by, let me finish this book. This book, let me be very, very clear. I am an immortal. I don't know if Thema Bryant, PhD, is an immortal or not. That's not my business. But she has a beautiful book called Homecoming. Let me help you understand The King and I. My brother, who I saw not long ago. Let me help you understand us. For instance, when I picked up Homecoming, this information makes sense to me. And the way she is presenting it makes sense to me because I am an upper level immortal and I know when I pick up a golden book. And her book is sitting on top of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's book of poetry and other writings. And this could be T.S. Eliot. This could be Robert Browning and Elizabeth Barrett. This could be other poets. Not all, but it could be the ones I just mentioned. I'll tell you someone else, and I will readdress that beautiful large poem. The first one I encountered, Western Star by Stephen, oh my goodness, I can't remember his name right now. I just found his book again last night and actually kissed it. It's an older book. Mr. Benet is a poet, and I can't read all of his stuff. His stuff is too honest on the dark side, if you want the honest truth. People like Donald Trump should have Mr. Benet read to them so that they can get a hold of their real condition. There's a few girls that are spouting lies in our political realms of America. I'm talking about Lauren Boebert and MTG and all of their people. They need to read poets like Mr. Benet, Western Star, which is America, talks about what happened to the American Indians, poor people, poor men, working women who, no matter their skin color, but slavery, I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure slavery's in there as well. In a more realistic picture than you have now. See, when you look at a white man, Mr. Longfellow, if you look at Mr. Longfellow and think Donald Trump, older white man, even think my father, with all due respect, because he struggled with misogyny based in pain in his life because of how his mother was taken, and he could see his daughter being attacked as well. And if you're not my father, you're saying things like, I'm just protecting women, without understanding the sacrifices my father made and his family made for him to actually say, I'm trying to protect my daughter, and it be true. Okay? I have proof in a way that I can't present on blogs that several generations before the world wars, there was a truth and honesty, even among many white middle-class people, that is more accurate to the return of the king than, no matter which skin color he is. But I'm going to ask you something, because he's already brought his ministry in my life farther forward enough. Are you going to do to him what so many people do to white men if he is white? Are you going to assume that he's like Donald Trump, King, or are you going to stop that behavior and understand that there's an ancient wisdom going forth that you don't understand, but that he and many of us want you to be a part of? It takes an evolution process. Is it painful, Kara? Yes, but it's painful because it is pulling out religion and capitalism and control mechanisms that were placed in our lives. And you need to remember that World Wars I and II brought forth a spirit of a beast whose head is injured in the book of Revelation. The second beast. And that's the Armageddon. I forget which chapter that is now. That's you're lucky this morning that I'm not referencing Revelation, because if there's one thing that I will do, it's interpret the Bible, the New Testament accurately. And I want to remind the world of something because it's already public. And the king told me publicly on Twitter that he doesn't much like Paul. And he had other accounts. Other men helped me understand the false prophet that Apostle Paul actually is. That doesn't mean that I won't interpret some of his writings that were heavenly. That means that the Apostle Paul is not like the King of Kings. He is not returning like me. And I will tell you another understanding. There are very few women that are returned like me. Men are too ugly, unlike the king and his men. At this time in my existence on this journey, I am the water poured out. When King David's men fought through the lines and brought him a drink of water, he couldn't drink it. I'm just water on the ground. Women actually represent water a lot of times, and if you'll understand, it's water and fluid that comes forth when we birth a child. I just drew a card in some beautiful artwork from last night. Like I said, the past week was rather intense. Well, I left it where I left it. And I had drawn the otter for the present of my life and people like me. The otter is in that particular set of animal tarot. The otter is water, and it is brought forth. And I'm reminded. I was just reminded last night doing this artwork I was privileged to do alongside tarot. I was reminded that women represent water. Mothers, particularly. I'm not saying, but mothers particularly. Again, when we birth you, there's a lot of fluid that comes out, and water is primary. Not to mention the fact that when you are knitted in our body, what is the percentage of water in your body, no matter who you are? And here's another thing I want to express is that I understand that you, like trans people, I understand that you need to switch your sexuality. And I understand that you should not be bullied. And I understand that it is a quandary that you're bullied for, that you're either asexual or non-binary, those kinds of things. My question is, I'm a mother, I have a vagina, it's well known, have no problem with that. I'm very heterosexual. I'm openly admitting my journey and repenting. I'm not blaming religion, but I am understanding that religion is continuing to bully trans and LGBTQ. You gonna judge me with them? I'm even white. Are you going to understand that I have a commitment in my core that any of us that are privileged to grow you, whomever you are, and whatever you need in this life to be you, we are we, and we mamas like me don't play the games. We are there for you. Okay? Yeah. So that's a concept that you need to get in your core. I am sorry if you're bullied. I've been rejected for the very testimony that is bringing forth this video with poetry. So let me conclude this. Homecoming is elementary to me. Yes, I know she's PhD. But the king telepathically is having to remind me, Kara, remember how you read books. I will probably not finish this book in the way that you think, whomever you are, that finishing should be, because you've been conditioned that you're never correct, that you never understand yourself, ever. And they are liars. That they, them are liars. And the truth is not in them. And I'm kind of a specialist in listening to the king, who says, remember, sweetie, you're not going to necessarily finish this book the way you were taught you had to, or you were going to burn in hell. And that's, excuse me, my cats are prowling, which is fine, but eating the baby's breath is not fine. Tadashi. So, she's a sweetie. You heard your name, didn't you? Yeah. She was purring, if you heard the purring. Now, Baymax is hoping for some birds this morning. And I just realized this is Ukraine, my loves. I'm there for you. Okay. So, I'm kind of busy this morning. I also made a commitment to color at my new painting desk, and so I've begun to build the little room of the Heavenly Door, Mary Magdala door, Magdala Gateway, for those who are dealing with the damage in their life concerning rape, incest, and all of that. They need a constant candle lighting, incense, nurture, because they have to stay out there and pay bills and everything. And we are living in a society in America where the victim is victimized over and over again. But the king's having to telepathically remind me, don't do it, Kara. Don't beat yourself up if this book is not, if you don't finish all of it. And I'm sorry. Please forgive me, America, for having to tell you the truth about an intellect such as mine. Because I appear dumb, stupid. My dad did for his whole life. People treated him because he seemed uneducated, but he had wisdom and knowledge that was ancient. And he told me as a child, you're going to go farther than me. He prophesied constantly in his life, and he also had his life testimony turned against him in my mother's family, and it's devastating to me because you have no idea. None of you have any idea how much work even I did, despite how many Davis Beatys, and like my brother and my Uncle Ken, my Aunt Shirley, that we ministered to in the Davis Beatty line. And it just didn't matter. They just ate us up with ugliness. Now, I know they had pain in their lives, but to nurture even a white person that's righteous, if you don't understand how to nurture us whites that came along with an ancient story, you're never going to see the King of Kings. And it's called selfishness. The wrong kind. There is a righteous selfishness. And I hope the King understands that today, because I'm still having to defend him and will always have to, even in our future, in my public life, I imagine, because wickedness is wickedness. And the kingdom of heaven on earth is the kingdom of heaven on earth. And excuse me for saying so. Some of my hot blog work last night was calling up the kingdom of heaven on earth for the king. And I will ask you again, world system, if the king is white, in my line of sight, not yours, are you going to use that against him again and again? Are you going to come with his leadership? What are you going to do? Because he doesn't necessarily care for the book of Revelation. I live it with his guardianship over my life. I wouldn't care for the book of Revelation if I were the King of Kings either. And are you going to accept that there are white people and then there's white orcs? And there are more white orcs than anything else in America in this day and age. And it has to do with the world wars. Some of us were even agreeing that the social media apocalypse is World War IV. I'm not going to explain to you what I know World War III is. I'm also not going to say that it's Cold War. That's none of your business, what I think. After what you've done to me, you don't have any business in my life, America. The true kingdom has earth rise. So, in the oops, there we go. So let me point out to you what I did, because I drew a new set of cards, and I was in Oak Hill yesterday, and even someone who was serving me in a place I was just like, oh, thank you for this, because they gave me tea, a big old pot of tea, and I just kept drinking tea with a little honey and cream. Notice the cards, because it's a particular new set of tarot that I have that I made a big deal of getting. I chose out of many decks, because I'm that way. I have to be careful with. But it turns out that it was the best one for the people, the good people that just want to be a part of the kingdom of heaven on earth like me and the king. And so I probably will try to manage to get the Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. She took 10 years. He, I don't even know. It took 10 years to develop this beautiful tarot. Let me open it up and show you a couple pages. Let me read this to you. Actually, let's see if I can find it. This black and white world is a little bit circusy, a little bit wonderland, and a little bit nocturnal fantasia of its own invention, a mix of myth and fairy tale, and chaotically splattered paint populated with pirates and puppies and ballerinas and books, all conjured from shadow and light. This is a dreamland. It exists now and then and out of time completely. And this person went on to say it took 10 years, and the drawings just came forth, and that is mystical, mysterious, and this is interesting. The chariot in this is the balloon. That's number 7, which is a number of rest. That's the chariot. And the way these cards are read is a delight, because how you lay them. So they're safely being tucked away. But I want you to understand they are an epiphany of something that I didn't have my sight open to until I read this set, and this is like the fourth time I've read it. Had excitement at where I was eating because people saw and commented on that deck and were excited. There's people in Austin that do a lot of tarot. And I have been listening to Barbara Streisand and obeying her and Bette Midler. This was actually in an interactive song list given to me yesterday, specifically at a place, The Rose by Bette Midler. I listened to it over and over again. And the other one is Barbara Streisand. I'm allowing her to teach me, and over and over, choose to forget, Kara. Choose to forget in your past what you need to forget. And so I'm doing that, and the dreamer me, I drew the lovers. That's number 6. Before the chariot of the balloon, number 7. And I said a harmonious balance. And I told us all, yet let us not despise our parents. Many of us need to forgive our parents. I don't have as much to forgive my parents than many of you have. John Borgstedt's book, I Love You, Mom, Please Don't Break My Heart, is what you need to read to understand. There are saviors in this world that are beautiful indeed. Don't ever forget what it took to grow you. I'm sorry for the bullying that you're receiving in this world of ours. Don't ever forget that either. A true mother will be so sad for how you're cut up for who you are in this society. And now it's how you're gunned down in schools. Children in this society. Don't ever forget true mothers and fathers. And the King leads us here. It's Revelation chapter 6, under the throne. We weep and we weep and we weep, but we can't live there because many of you are depressed in a way that we need to nurture you so you can pop out of it, no matter what your journey is. And part of that is helping you come into the understanding of the kingdom of heaven on earth. And so I did something for the first time after I allowed Barbara Streisand and a few other beautiful, beautiful musicians and bands and whatnot to minister to me the truth. Number 2, so a harmonious balance is about the lovers, and that's heterosexual love that produces children. But it's not in this painting circle. This one is all types of love. Self-love. Partners in a lover's situation, love mother to child and child to mother, no matter the ages. Father to child, child to father, no matter the ages. There's all kinds of couple love. Oh my goodness, that's an understatement. Number 2, dreaming. I chose the Queen of Wands, which is standing in the sun, mistress of fire, in our new place. And that's what I'm telling you. The King is my guard. And I speak confidence, is what I said. charisma and warmth being balanced through each other, and passion and creativity being balanced through each other. And my third one, which is awake, I'm speaking of justice. This is a place of restoring balance and unity. But elsewhere, I actually, okay, that must have been in my animal tarot that I drew yesterday. It was in another place. I said, this is our past now. This is our past. It's on blocks, you can find it. This is our past now. I'm completely sidestepping after 3 videos that I shot the past couple of days. I'm completely sidestepping the history of what happened to me in the world of religion. It doesn't exist anymore. I destroyed it in my memory. And I listened to Barbara Streisand, Bette Midler's The Rose, and the Bee Gees. I love the Bee Gees. It's not so much the Beatles and Peter, Paul, and Mary. Those are quandaries of war, and they do love, but I mean, it's really convoluted in their world. Simon and Garfunkel, but I listen to their wisdom before I'll listen to what people are belching out, literally in this day and age after the 2 world wars, because of the understanding I have. I tap back to the 60s and early 70s with my music many times because, well, the hippies, yeah, sure, they drug too much, and they are remorseful that they did that. They've got a wisdom that I don't think the young people in this day and age understand. So, think about it. I don't need to, and I'm sorry, please forgive me, Dr. Bryant, that I have to tell you the truth about me as an immortal. That is an original. I don't, Miss Bryant may be an original as well. I don't know. She may laugh and say, I know, I got you. I got you, girl. I don't know. I don't know her. I'm not privileged to have her in my life. Wish I was. I wish I was privileged with that. I'm not. It's not my life. And I was very clear in my videos yesterday and the day before. You know, I can shoot holes in just about any paradigm out there. I can show you where you got some work to do. That's not what I'm called to. I was for a season as an exorcist. I'm still the exorcist. I have to rebuild my life. And I happen to have a quote from the King concerning us rebuilding our lives. And so if you have any question, America, about who's actually purifying every oracle I use, I can quote you, the man himself. I have said it over and over again. He's the only one that can get me out of this, but that makes sense. That's Judah. He's also restoring the beauty of malehood, no matter which skin color, worldwide, because men have lost their way. Women are idolatrous. That is that. That is that. So, now you understand maybe just a little bit about me. I didn't want to point this out. I'm finding I'm having to point out a lot of truths now that aren't understood. That makes sense if you're me. So if it doesn't make sense to you, listen to a perspective of an original immortal like the King. I was not immaculately born, though, so of course I needed his deliverance for him. But I am tribe Judah elect, so he's going to do that. Here's why. Picture tribe Judah And I actually have a album in my YouTube that I pay for with a huge heart. It has the album cover, and so picture Judah heart. In other words, it's beating in his body alone. Is he loving himself to leave one lamb, even of Judah, remnant or otherwise, in that cesspool of eternal mystery? Some of it's gorgeous and some of it's just pure hell. No, he's not. He's not loving himself. So I'm going to close with asking you a question before I read a white man's poem. Talked as respectfully as possible about a black woman's book. And I'm going to ask you again, whichever body form the King of Kings chooses to be on any given day, is that going to matter to you? If he's white and you're black, if he's white and you're American Indian, if he's white and you're me, I'm white, is it going to matter? Well, let me tell you this. It is a practice to say, I love you here too. And there's one man who is on the earth that is teaching this to me. I love you here too, Kara. I accept you here too. I'm not going to correct you. And occasionally he gets anger from me, just like I've gotten anger from people because he's the exorcist. I'm a Judah exorcist, so there you have it. I'll turn into the serpent in anger. But it's not at him. And he knows that. What's that anger, Kara? That men, women do not bow the knee to the true king and give up these murderous games, is what that is. Conditioning the people so that my exorcism work is necessary. So is KP and Griselda Yohanan, who are Tri-Judah elect, dark skin. Go look up their ministry. We all work together with the King. What are you going to do with the skin color of the original King of Kings? What are you going to do with that? Are you going to accept him as a black man or woman in America, as a white man who you have no idea is love, but you know it's 100% acceptance of your core? You're a criminal. He already knows it. He knows your heart, and that's not what I'm talking about. So all you criminals can just be shut out. Here, I'm not talking to you. All right, conclusion. The Evening Star by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. I encountered it January the 20th, 2023. Allowed it to work. It's this work. Encountered some books that are helping me with this work. And then I encountered it again February the 6th, 2023. And today is February the 12th. Looks like I'm going to need to do another moon spell tomorrow. And I have the book for that I'm making. So that'll be fun. Lo, in the painted oriel of the west, whose panes the sunken sun incarnadines, which is a bright crimson color, like a fair lady at her casement shines, the evening star, the star of love and rest. And then anon she doth herself divest of all her radiant garments and reclines behind the somber screen of yonder pines, with slumber and soft dreams of love and oppressed, of love oppressed. Oh, my beloved, my sweet Hesperus, which that is a Greek goddess, I believe, and that will be linked in this blog article. My morning and my evening star of love, my best and gentlest lady, even thus, as that fair planet in the sky above, dost thou retire unto the rest at night, and from thy darkened window fades the light. So I will close, opening up my pencil case. And putting today's date on this piece. This is the 12th of February. 2, 12. I will dwell with this poetry and this message all day and go into the next week just a little more healed than I was last week. And I've been doing that my whole life. This is Karen.